one tail, two heads, or one yin, two yangs. Gives us one young yin line, which is a broken line on the very bottom of our first hexagram. Two heads, one tail, another young yin line. Look like two broken lines. There we go. Three heads, gives us one old yang line. And it'll change in our next to a supporting hexagram for us. Focus on, there we go. So it's broken line, and changing solid line. So this first trigram is the trigram of mountain, and when it changes in our supporting hexagram, it'll be open, 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 or yin, 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 and that will give us earth, which is mother. One yang, or head. Two tails, or yin, gives us one young yang line. One young yang line again. One head and two tails. Another young yang line. That gives us heaven above mountain as our first hexagram, but that'll have a specific name to it. Three solid lines in a row is heaven or father in that trigram. And this is what our first hexagram looks like. Broken, broken. This is how we will read it. Jeez, come on. There we go. Broken, broken, solid, 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 solid. And then when it changes, it'll be broken, 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 solid, solid, solid. Broken solid is Ken, or like I said, mountain. Solid is Chi in, mother or earth. That gives us hexagram 33 as our primary hexagram. And our supporting hexagram is going to start out with the trigram Kun, which is broken. And it'll have Chien on top of it, heaven. So it's heaven over mother, which will give us supporting hexagram 12. We're primarily going to be reading out of the Taoist I Ching by Lu Yiming. He wrote it in 1796 as a Taoist adept, and partly out of Hilary Barrett's I Ching. So, here we are. Our first hexagram, being 33, is called Withdrawal. Storing positive energy, subduing energy, exercising strength with restraint, not using power arbitrarily. Withdrawal. With a supporting hexagram of 12, gives us obstruction, submitting inwardly to personal desire, acting aggressively outwardly. Obstruction. Now, our first hexagram gives us the general context, the map of the energies we might be finding ourselves in, situations, things like that. And then our supporting hexagram, obstruction, is actually a little bit more specific on our situation. But we have one changing line on the third roll, and that will be the most specific context for us. So to start out, we'll read first hexagram 33. Translated by Thomas Cleary. Withdrawal. Withdrawal is developmental. The small is beneficial and correct. Explanation. Withdrawal means retracting. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is heaven, strong, and below is mountain, still. Strength is based on stillness. Using strength with restraint, one has strength yet does not lightly use it arbitrarily. Therefore, it is called withdrawal. This hexagram represents storing yang and subduing energy. It follows on the previous hexagram's sensitivity. Sensitivity is the path of producing joy by stillness, harmonizing yin and yang. To harmonize yin and yang, the most important thing is to first subdue energy. Subduing energy means to still strength and not presume upon it. The quality of strength in people is connected to the primordial true energy. After one yin comes and mates with it, yin energy gradually grows, and yang energy, of course, recedes. The developed person at this point knows the yin energy is active as a natural process and can hardly be fought, and so does not set about rebelling yin, but first aims to preserve yang. Preserving yang means gathering in the vital spirit and stabilizing it in its place, whereby to subdue the primal energy. If you can subdue that energy, the yang energy is not injured, and the yin energy spontaneously sublimates. Thus there is a path of development within withdrawal. But withdrawal as a path does not mean avoiding yin, nor does it mean sitting there watching the way things turn out. It means using yin to complete yang. In using yin to complete yang, it is most important for withdrawal to be prompt. If prompt, the yang energy is strong and the yin energy is weak, so withdrawal is easy. If tardy, the yang energy is weak and the yin energy is strong, so withdrawal is difficult. In this hexagram, there are 2 yins and 4 yangs. The yin energy is still, submitting to the yang energy. Withdrawing at this point, withdrawal is preemptive. Thus, the developmental path of withdrawal exists when the small yin is beneficial and correct. The small being beneficial and correct is when the yin energy has not gotten to the point of injuring the yang energy. When the third yin arises, yin energy is not beneficial and not correct. It gets out of control and beyond withdrawal. Therefore, the developmental path of stilling strength and subduing energy must take place just when the second yin has come forth. Then neither yin nor yang is injured, and yin follows the withdrawal of yang. The benefit and correctness of the small is also the benefit and correctness of the great. Now, hexagram 12. The general context behind any question we bring to the I Ching when we consult the oracle is, how can I act in creative relation to the spirits or forces behind this moment of time? Hexagram 12 is obstruction. This will be a little bit more focused in on situations we may find ourselves in, or where we sit within the broader scheme. Obstruction's denial of humanity does not make the superior person's rectitude beneficial. The great goes and the small comes. Explanation. Obstruction means blockage. As for the qualities of the hexagram, inside is earth, submissive, and outside is heaven, strong. Submitting to one's desires, outwardly acting adamant, negative energy is in charge, while positive energy retreats. Because strength and receptivity are separated, it is called obstruction. This hexagram represents yin and yang not joining. It follows on the previous hexagram treading. Treading is promoting strength with harmony and joyfulness, causing yin and yang to join. So strength and receptivity are united. In general, when yin and yang do not combine, true yin changes into false yin, and true yang changes into false yang. The primordial is lost and false energy enters. False energy enters and true energy recedes. That is why obstruction's denial of humanity does not make the superior person's rectitude beneficial. Denial of humanity is false energy. The superior person is true energy. When the primordial has not been injured and true yang is within, the single mass of true energy is the superior person. When the primordial has been lost and the true yang is scattered externally, whatever the body has is false energy. To follow that continued yin, indulging in emotions and giving free rein to desires without any limit, is denying humanity. That denying humanity is not beneficial to the superior person means that false energy is not beneficial to true energy. At this time, the practitioner of the Tao should get rid of intellectualism and gather the energy and spirit within to preserve true yang, particularly at this disadvantageous time, just when the great goes and the small comes, when negative energy does things. If one does not know how to forestall danger, one will increasingly produce obstruction, and it will be very disadvantageous. Reading again, hexagram 33. Our changing line is the third line, and its context is an emerging identity facing a transition with fear or desire, resolution or indecision. Entangled withdrawal has affliction, but it is lucky in terms of feeding servants and concubines. Explanation. Yang in the third place is near two yins. Strength is pulled by weakness and does not know to withdraw promptly. This is withdrawal that has personal entanglement. That affliction is very dangerous. The true energy in people is like the master. Acquired energy is like the servant. Getting entangled in yin and thus damaging the real with the artificial is feeding the servant and losing the master. So it is lucky in terms of feeding servants and concubines. This is withdrawal having personal entanglements. Heavy stuff. We'll be reading now out of Hilary Barrett's I Ching. One of the reasons I love is also one of the reasons I'm not the most fond of the I Ching is that it can be a hard master, if you will. But you're learning the entire time, and oftentimes where you're learning is on a subliminal level. Subconscious is what it feels like. I don't know what to make of a lot of the words that I'm reading, and yet I can tell they hit me almost in a meditative state. And one thing that's difficult about change, in order to stay secure, it feels like we have to be able to change. We may be in one place, location-wise, all of our lives, but we're constantly moving when we're going through time, and time is all about change. The I Ching can be translated to Book of Changes, and it helps tell you what might be in the air, so to speak, or even things that you might be going through, and it helps you navigate rather than maybe giving you a course for what you want per se. It helps you adjust what you want for what is, and allows you to flow into that stream and be a part of it all and feel your connection to this. And for me, I love wading in that stream. I love it. Retreat. What must you do to stay safe and whole? How can you change your relationships so they support your integrity? Oracle. Retreat. Creating success. Constancy yields a small harvest. The old Chinese character for retreat shows a pig and footsteps on the road. Perhaps this pig is running away so as not to be eaten. Retreat means withdrawing from what can harm you, or what might swallow you up. It is a way to keep yourself whole. So retreating creates success. It is not defeat, but the way to avoid defeat, like an army that falls back and stays intact. When you retreat, you hide yourself away. You might disappear into the landscape altogether, so that you will not lose yourself. Retreat moves you away from threats and towards wholeness and integrity. It is a way to be constant to principle and to yourself, by paying less attention to immediate results. The army that is loyal to a longer-term objective will retreat in good order rather than linger to gather spoils. The hermit, constant to the truth he perceives, withdraws from society into an inner space. He is not interested in claiming tangible rewards. Such constancy, offering no resistance and creating no friction, bears fruit in small, inconspicuous ways. Image. Below heaven is the mountain. Retreat. A noble one keeps small people at a distance, not with hatred, but through respect. The mountain stands firm and still, and seems to be joined more with heaven than with earth. The noble one who retreats up the mountain shares this character, staying close to what inspires. He is naturally distanced from what would diminish him. This happens through respect and without hostility, because to hate something is to take the ugliness you perceive into your own heart. Sequence. Retreat follows from Hexagram 32, lasting. They cannot last long in the place where they settle, and so retreat follows. Retreat means withdrawing. Perhaps you must retreat from your settled place before you are overrun. Perhaps there comes a time when pattern and routine begin to absorb you completely, so you withdraw before your individuality is subsumed. Pair. Retreat forms a pair with Hexagram 34, great vigor. Great vigor means stopping. Retreat means withdrawing. Sometimes you can take a stand and hold your position. Sometimes you need to move away. and then we'll read supporting hexagram 12. Blocked. What work can you do when nothing is working? Who are you when no one is noticing? Blocking it, non-people. Noble one's constancy bears no fruit. Great goes, small comes. That was the oracle. Nothing moves or grows. Communication doesn't happen. Everything is negated and blocked, and that is because of non-people. That may mean that some people are a consistently, exclusively, and pathologically negative influence and sabotage all attempts at progress. It can also refer to perceiving someone as not quite a real person, explaining their behavior with labels and stereotypes rather than seeking to understand. In both cases, there is a complete failure of empathy. This means that your very best and strongest efforts come to nothing. You can have a soaring imaginative concept of a creative possibilities here. You can have the will to be true to that concept and carry it through. You're not doing anything wrong. The problem is that these creative possibilities are just not available when things are blocked. Small concerns dominate. The adaptive response is not to strive constantly to rise to a higher level, but to focus your attention on the small details, the immediate, uninspiring reality. Image. Heaven and earth do not interact. Blocked. A noble one uses his strengths sparingly to avoid hardship. He does not allow himself honors and payment. Inspiration soars upward. The opportunities for its realization sink ever further out of reach below. There is no creative connection between the two. The noble one has noticed that the harder you bang your head against a brick wall, the more bruised you get, and so he is economical with his energy and talents. Equally, he does not look for rewards under this regime. The ones who are rewarded now are not noble. He has other priorities than external results and recognition. Sequence. Blocked follows from hexagram 11, flow. Things cannot end with flowing together, and so blocked follows. Effortless communication and mutual openness is a beautiful thing, but it cannot last forever, and perhaps it's somehow incomplete. Could it be that we need to be blocked and cut off so we can grow more strongly from deeper roots? Back to hexagram 33 to read our changing line. And again, the broad context of that is an emerging identity facing a transition with fear or desire, resolution or indecision. I forgot to read a key part out of here, so we have a little treat in store because that usually is a really nice spiritual take on the whole thing that usually is very helpful even if the broad scope of things feels negative. Tide, retreat. There is affliction, danger. Nurturing servants and handmaidens, good fortune. Ties make it hard to retreat. They stress and weaken you with fears of being trapped. You are in danger of being pulled back and eaten up. So it is time to build up a reserve of your own, which will serve and support you in retreating. Maybe you could even transform the nature of the ties themselves. This is not a way to accomplish anything grand. Communication is not flowing freely enough to allow that. It is simply a way to be more resourceful so that your retreat is well provided for, and consequently what ties you and pulls you back no longer exerts the same power. This can make your retreat easier and even enjoyable. I think the back section that we're going to read is Lu Yiming's commentary, rather than, I think, his kind of translation of a commentary. I'm not sure how that worked exactly, but it, like I said, focuses a little bit more on the Taoist aspect of things, which is my favorite path. Here we go. In fact, Tao could be translated way. 33. Inaccessibility. Heaven above, mountain below. There are mountains under heaven which is inaccessible. Thus do superior people keep petty people at a distance, being stern without ill will. Inaccessibility means no one can know you. Above is heaven, below is mountain. There are mountains under the sky. The sky can contain the mountains, but the mountains cannot get near the sky. This is the image of inaccessibility. What superior people see in this is that when people bring trouble on themselves, being injured by petty people, it is because of being narrow and intolerant. Therefore, superior people keep petty people at a distance, being stern yet without ill will. To keep petty people at a distance does not mean to avoid them, but rather to cause petty people to keep their distance. Not having ill will means to deal with people tolerantly and generously, while being stern means to control oneself firmly. Superior people who practice the Tao have minds as vast as the sky, embracing all existence, yet aloof of it all. Tolerant of everyone, they live in the world without destroying it. They are in the midst of the mundane, yet can transcend the mundane. They are not disliked by lesser people, yet as their self-discipline and conduct are beyond the ordinary, and because they are conscientious, lesser people avoid them even though they themselves do not try to avoid lesser people. This is like mountains under heaven. No matter how high the mountains are, they cannot get close to heaven. Nothing under heaven is as high or large as mountains are, yet heaven can contain even that which is as high or as large as mountains. How much the more so that which is not so high or large. Only when practitioners of the Tao have the capacity to contain mountains, as it were, can they sustain the heavenly practice and cultivate the heavenly Tao. Being inaccessible without hiding, they are near to invulnerability. False followers of Taoism in the world who are small-minded and intolerant and get irritated and angry at every encounter and confrontation are naturally disliked and avoided by petty people, but they are never free of obstacles. And then hexagram 12, obstruction. Heaven above, earth below. When heaven and earth do not commune, there is obstruction. The superior person, therefore, is parsimonious with power and avoids trouble, not susceptible to elevation by emolument. Obstruction is blockage. Above is heaven, below is earth. The energy of earth rises up from below. The energy of heaven descends from above. The energies of heaven and earth, the celestial and the mundane, do not mix, and myriad things are stifled. This is the image of obstruction. What superior people see in this is that heaven and earth, yin and yang, do not mix. Myriad things are inert, and when the celestial and the earthly and the human being do not commune, natural reality is damaged. Therefore they are reserved and reclusive at the appropriate times, sparing with their powers and qualities, thus avoiding trouble, not susceptible to elevation by emolument. To be parsimonious with power means to banish intellectualism, to conceal one's illumination and nurture it in secret, borrowing the temporal to preserve the primordial, not letting any external influences adulterate natural reality. This is because once people get mixed up in acquired conditioning, the false comes and the real departs. The mind is seduced by things, and nature is deranged and life is destabilized. No obstruction is more of a hindrance than this. No trouble is more of a problem than this. If one does not know to escape quickly, as soon as there is any ambition for honor or material gain or any emotional feeling about objects of sense, this will cause even more obstruction. How can one then avoid injurious trouble? Not susceptible to being elevated to a high post in the world, one is not moved by glory or emolument, much less by petty gains. The words parsimonious with power are very pregnant, involving many things and most detailed effort. Whatever talent or knowledge one has, one should hide it and be stolid as a monumental rampart, forgetting others and self, having power yet not being conscious of it. If one is conscious of one's power, that is not being parsimonious. Precisely because one is not conscious of one's power, one cannot be elevated by emolument. If emolument cannot elevate one, the trouble is no longer there, and the obstruction disappears of itself. Thus, though the earthly and the celestial do not commune at first, they will inevitably join in the end. So the effect of avoiding trouble by being parsimonious with power is not small. Verse or chapter at random out of the Tao Te Ching, 25. Something mysteriously formed, born before heaven and earth, in the silence and the void, standing alone and unchanging, ever present and in motion. Perhaps it is the mother of 10,000 things. I do not know its name. Call it Tao. For lack of a better word, I call it great. Being great, it flows far away. Having gone far, it returns. Therefore, Tao is great, heaven is great, earth is great, the king is also great. These are the four great powers of the universe, and the king is one of them. Man follows the earth follows heaven, heaven follows the Tao, Tao follows what is natural.